This conference will now be
Oh, that was weird.
It will
The
now
automated
be.
voice cut out on me. So, how is everyone?
Excellent.
Welcome.
And yourself?
Good. Hanging in there. Better than I deserve. Well,
Who's
does
that
anybody
from?
have anything notable or anything that they want to say? Or I think Chris is going to try to pick maybe a newbie out of the crowd. We can do that too.
That's right. I see Jeff and Jim, faces that I don't know.
Jeff's been on before, so pretty sure.
Yeah, that's
Here's
true. I have.
Danny.
Yeah, I'm usually on while I'm on another call, so I never get to speak. Multitasking with my day job.
Looks like you got a free moment to chat with us today, though.
Yeah, somebody
Until
canceled
the
a
phone
meeting. I love
rings.
it. Yeah,
Origins.
All right.
Where are you
Well,
at?
I'm in outside of Chicago, northern suburbs. You did my training on the Aurora.
Oh,
Gave
okay.
me some
Yeah.
great photo training on halftone, which I'd never even tried to use before. I just used it right before I came in from my last call to do some work on the
Did it come
Aurora.
out good at least?
Absolutely,
Excellent.
always does.
Excellent.
well, I do have a topic, but that probably won't take the entire thing. So we'll kind of see how it goes.
That's
Well,
why we're
I,
here. We figure we had the perfect example of how Ethernet connections work with Mac and
There you go.
multiple lasers and multiple Macs.
Yep.
I'm
It is
Absolutely.
intrigued
nice.
by that. Right now, I run a PC laptop and I just move it back and forth between the lasers, but I have a brand new MacBook Pro that I'd like to use on one of the lasers and use the PC on the other laser. So I just
Hmm.
haven't gotten into the whole Ethernet setup yet.
Yeah, the only issue you'll have is that the fiber laser will not do
Yeah,
Ethernet. It's USB only.
that
But
one's for the PC. The Bolt gets the MacBook Pro.
mm,
The
Okay.
plan.
Yeah. Then
that will
that
work.
one you probably definitely want to do an ad hoc, probably, unless you want to fully network it, which we'll kind of
I was
delve
contemplating
into.
putting
So,
a full. I use wireless mesh, so I could put a mesh node there, and I was contemplating if I could use that as a network drop. But that might not
y-
be what this call's about. I don't know.
yeah, it's going to include any of that stuff. I personally use the meshes, because it gives you a physical Ethernet port and just
Yep.
network it traditionally. Now, these Ruida controllers will touch on that. Don't like wireless protocols. It's UDP, and sometimes it can act a little funny. I do some wireless stuff. I don't really have that much of a problem, but it is something that's known. And cool. Got Chris. Do you have anything that you want to proclaim?
I mean, Chick-fil-A chicken doesn't belong in the microwave. That's what you're wondering.
How'd I know that was going to come up?
Here it comes.
Oh, are you waiting on
Ah,
some Matt comment?
There's no such thing as leftover Chick-fil-A.
That's
Yeah,
right.
sometimes it happens.
no, it shouldn't. It
See?
should not.
In
I'll buy
microwave,
extras.
fine.
That's
Thank
what the
you.
air
Now, if I
fryer's for.
if I wanted to elevate it, I would toast the bun and put the patty in the air fryer. But you nuke the thing. I made a redneck chicken cordon bleu where you put Black Forest ham on it and some cheese. Nuked it for a little while. I mean, was it Ritz Chris? No. Was it like going to Chick Fil A and getting a fresh sandwich? No, but it was good. And Chris has a huge problem with that, almost as much as with Mac.
Now we got a pizza place here that puts Chick-fil-A chicken and waffle fries on a cheese pizza and then they like drizzle some sauce on there. It is so good.
It sounds like a lot of carbs.
Welcome to our
Really?
world.
Really? It's pizza.
It sounds like
Isn't that
extra
the
super
point?
carbs. It's like putting pasta on top of your pizza.
I'd try it.
I think I would too.
I would try it. I wouldn't feel good afterwards, but I'd try it. After you're done with your talk, I can take some ISA questions if anybody went there, if anybody wants to know the goings on there.
Well, then in that case, I guess I'll hit share and see if I can make this work. It's being a little sluggish. There it goes.
I just was trying to make room for more cups.
All right. So Ethernet. And again, I just made a kind of a bullet list here, and then we can kind of expand on some things. Um, Ethernet, just in general, is better, I think, than USB. There's a little bit more to configure sometimes, but it typically works better. If you're using a Mac with a DSP, I would almost always prescribe an Ethernet port, which Jeff alluded to that uh, a little while ago when he was talking about running his MacBook on that DSP machine. And those DSPs don't like the Wi-Fi protocols. You can do it. You can use meshes. Sometimes you don't get the desired results. Now, I believe the Lightburn bridge is excluded from that because they handle it a little bit different way. Even though it's wireless, it's not using that protocol to communicate with the controller. I think that's what they said. And if somebody can confirm that, the Chris's, I would be most grateful if you've heard similar. Um, so the ad hoc connection is the most simple one, the one that most people do, which is a direct Ethernet connection from the laser directly to the computer. Now, if you've got a newer computer, a laptop, a Mac, even the PCs now, a lot of them aren't coming with physical Ethernet ports. And in that case, you would use a USB to Ethernet dongle, which they're readily available at most big box stores, a pretty common item, and able to get that cabling to work. The second one is the traditional networking, which Jeff also might have been looking at, where you configure the laser with an IP address that's on your existing network already and make it part of that network. And there's some caveats to that we can go over. And then the Lightburn bridge we mentioned again. I'm not sure how popular that is, though. We don't get a whole lot of stuff on the bridge, but it is a thing. I've got one. I use it. I like it. That's the
I
third
had a lot
option.
of issues, but I was probably in the very beginning stages when they first came out with it. But I had a lot of
Yeah,
having to send it 3 or 4 times for it to actually send, just connectivity issues. But it did help.
yeah, yeah. And the main reason I got it is because I was hoping for the camera function, which they said may be included in that at some point, but that never or hasn't happened yet. So uh, that I haven't been using it lately. So
Point of clarity, Look also uses the Mac, so that could be part of the problem.
well, that's supposed to fix it. That's even in their stuff. Um, does anybody have anything they want to explore or expand on so far?
Well, another big advantage for Ethernet is the multiple machines. So you
Yeah,
get a unique identifier known as the IP address for each machine, so that you don't accidentally send the file to the wrong machine or change machine settings on the wrong machine. You're sitting
yeah,
there like, why isn't my file here? Oops, I didn't pick the right USB device, or Windows couldn't tell the difference between one or the other because the reader is a reader, and Ethernet separates those for you.
yeah. So in an ad hoc one, which is what a lot of people do, um, that's where you connect directly with a dongle, and you have to go into the machine and make some Ethernet settings, either at the physical Ethernet port settings or the dongle in the network, assigning a static IP that doesn't interfere with your primary or most. It's usually Wi-Fi connection, and that's something really important with all of this Ethernet connectivity is not letting the configuration for the lasers interfere with the rest of your network or vice versa. Duplicate IP addresses, things like that, being on the wrong range can all cause issues. Um, and I don't know how deep I want to actually go into what all these are, unless there are some specific questions. Um, there is a configurator and plenty of documentation that we use to go through all of that stuff, and it varies a little bit by what your network, your existing primary network is. And if you say, like, I don't have a network, I'm connected Wi-Fi, that's technically still a network. That's just going to be your primary one, the one that your modem and your internet and all that is on. Typically, with an ad hoc connection, we put it on a different range. So it's on a completely different range than your primary. That way it doesn't interfere with it. Um, on the traditionally networked kind, which Chris mentioned earlier, and this is how I run my setup. You can run multiple computers, multiple machines, and as he said, they each have their own address, so you don't get them confused. You can manage them better, and you kind of get the best of both worlds as far as that goes. And then you have a little more complexity there because you're having to assign static IP addresses to the machines on the same range as your existing network and avoid IP address conflicts and avoid having your router or whatever manages your network and all the DHCP actually hand out addresses that are already in use by the lasers. And that may mean that you need to add exceptions in your router so that it doesn't hand those out, or change your DHCP pool so that you have a range of IP addresses outside that pool you can assign to static devices.
So what would you consider if somebody had just a 5-port unmanaged hub, one computer, 5 machines? I guess it would be 4 machines at that point. That's almost like a hybrid ad hoc, but it's still its own
It's
separate.
yeah, it is. It is a hybrid. It's ad hoc in the fact, well, no, that would mean direct connection, which, yeah, that is kind of a blend.
Yeah.
And that's possible. You don't have to hook your laser to your primary network. You could add a hub, make an ad hoc connection, except make it to the hub, and then you can branch off that hub and go to multiple lasers and still connect them and still be totally isolated and independent of your primary network. So you could do that either way.
That's what I run. I think you guys don't run that?
No,
Yeah, I run a hub.
Yeah,
I've
I've
got
got a
mine
hub
all
as
on my
well.
primary network.
Yeah. Now my hub is dual purpose. It actually, since it's unmanaged, it sits on my main network, so I can remote in from my computer in my office that also has internet access. I can hit the machines that are on a separate network from a assigned IP address model. So let's just say they're 192.168.2 dot for the machines and 192.168.1 dot for my home internet network. I can hit both networks with a dual IP setting on my computers. It's just that my machines can't see the outside world because their IP addressing doesn't jive with the router that is on my
Yeah.
network that controls my internet flow. So that's another kind of odd way. But yeah, I've got the hub, Wi-Fi, and all that jazz working together. But generally
So,
hardwired to machines.
so I guess I have a standalone because I'm going from my laptop into a splitter, or not a splitter, but a hub or a switch, right?
Right.
And then to 3 different machines.
Yeah. So it's technically separate from your primary network still,
Yeah, it
but you
never,
can
besides
still
the
run it.
Wi-Fi, yeah,
What
Wi-Fi
what
connects to the internet, and
what
that's it.
Chris did by adding that separate IP address range or secondary one in his computer is be able to see both of those and still use the same physical network without having to have two separate physical networks. Is
Yep.
basically he's kind of doing what you did, except he's using the routers and stuff that he already had in place. He's just making the lasers and that computer a different IP range, basically,
And,
and
and
still being able to
ours
hit both.
ours is just a wee bit different from both. And Chris, correct me when I say the wrong things, please. It's the internet comes into the house, it hits the router and the modem, or the modem and the router. It splits to a mesh router, so I have one Wi-Fi for the house, and then hardlined out to her shop with its own separate Wi-Fi to where these two Macs hook to it, and everything is run through the traditional network, I guess. But if we need to talk to something else on the home, we just flip from one Wi-Fi to the other on the Mac itself. Did I get that
Yeah.
right?
That was
Well,
the
yeah,
whole
it sounds,
purpose.
sounds like you got some interesting physical layer separation with the access points in the mesh system. So
Yes.
that'd be a fun one to draw out to see what it looks like.
Oh Lord, I could probably. It would be on paper. Um, but like the printers, the 3D printers, the bamboos hook to the same network as this building. So whatever computers we send files to that hooks to that. Her laptop can sit in the house and she can remote in while I stand here at the laser if she's having a bad day and do everything from Lightburn and just send it to the laser and I can stand here and hit the button.
Yep, which is nice. But I like that you were standing at the machine.
Oh, if somebody's not in here, these things typically aren't on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see, there's not one correct answer to this. So it makes documenting it and applying it sometimes a little bit difficult because a lot of it depends on what you have already set up
Well,
in the way your whole system is.
the other fun part is these internet service providers, your Comcast, Xfinity's, TDS, whatever, Spectrums are trying to provide these routers that are kind of stripped down on functions. So trying to get in and see what your DHCP range is, that pool,
Mm-hmm.
you may not have access to it, or they've got it buried deep, and you got to use a phone app or something. It's so
Yeah.
hard to say whatever brand like Netgear versus what are
Yeah.
the other ones that I have. Whatever brand
Surfboard
you
and
got. Yeah,
or
just
Belkin or
yeah,
because
all their GUIs are different.
my cable provider, my internet provider's modem is atrocious. So I bought one myself, but I don't even use it to manage. It's just pass through, and then it goes to my main router, and that's where I handle everything. So
Yep.
yeah, there's a lot of different things that can go on depending on how you need it. So it can be fairly complex, but most everybody handles it pretty well. Even from the stuff that we've got, we don't have, of course we have hiccups, but by and large, I think everybody is making a pretty smooth transition with the tools and
Yep.
resources that we have.
Well, then
Um,
another soapbox gripe is all these OS manufacturers, Mac and Windows, like to change things, like how you
mhm.
actually enter an IP address. Well, it's no longer this easy method that we've all learned. Now it's in some other system setting or a different format with their slash notation. So that can be confusing too, depending on what vintage of the OS you're actually using.
Yeah, that makes for a lot of documentation. Also, having
Yeah.
all that stuff. That's why there's like 5 or 6 or 7 Ethernet articles. Um, and again, I bring up the bridge, even though it's not super common. Um, but that's what they even said in their original thing, was that it was intended for Mac users to overcome issues with the USB connectivity, but it works equally well with any of the others. I've tried it on Windows and Linux, and it works just as well there. So I know we're talking about Ethernet, but one of the biggest reasons we tell people to use Ethernet is the USB connectivity issue, or those issues that are present with the FTDI driver in Mac. So I just wanted to bring that up. That it's not really that there's something wrong, or the controller's not broken, Lightburn's not broken, your Mac's not broken. The driver that they bundle doesn't play well with the chipset that's in that Ruida. And that's not just Thunder stuff either, it's all of them. So that's why there's so much talk about Ethernet and Mac. Um,
But then also
uh,
these computers are now suspending USB ports. So even if you have a USB adapter or something, but you're trying to shut down your USB ports to save power, the people
yeah,
is like, okay, sometimes you just reboot the machine or you reboot your computer and it comes back to life, or you unplug and plug back in. voila, it's fixed.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Change.
Jeff and I covered that too. Is like make sure you shut off all of your sleep modes and power saving modes if you're connected to your fiber laser, because you'll be in the middle of a job and that thing goes to sleep. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah. And Ethernet ports will shut down on you too.
Hmm.
So yeah. Um, and again, we can expand on some of that stuff. There's some links to the resources on that back page. The main Ethernet article, which will take you to the other variants of it, depending on whether it's Mac or PC, and this and that. And then about the configurator, which is a little kind of wizard that we made, where you answer
Can you
some
say that?
questions about your network. Hmm?
Can you say that 3 times fast?
3 times fast. That 3 times fast. Is that what you wanted?
No, your configurator.
DSP ad hoc Ethernet IP address configurator. DSP ad hoc internet. Yeah, no, I can't. So there's some links in there, and we can expand on any questions that you may have. It's kind of hard to just go through and say this is what you do for this one, because there are so many different variations about what's going on. So kind of have to adapt to your situation. And the link
Now,
to the slides is in the thing. Go ahead.
what would be cool is if Rita developed the protocol to allow the machine to enable DHCP address, and then Lightburn could also go find the controller based off of a MAC address, which it does have, or some other unique identifier. That
Yeah,
way, you
you mean
connect to your Wi-Fi. It's 3 seconds. You're done. You put in
yeah,
the
just
Wi-Fi
like
in
a
the
printer
pass-through.
or anything
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's Ruida. I guess they figure it's not necessary, so they don't put it in there. I wonder if there
And
is a specific reason.
well, I get it. I mean, you're installing a machine in a production environment. You generally are going to use a static self-assigned
Yeah.
IP. I get it, but it
Yeah.
would be nice.
All right, everybody. Questions, comments, concerns? It was a very lively topic, I know.
Yeah, wake
Yeah.
up, wake up.
Do I need to put the Q&A slide up so we know where we're at?
No, you need to review the whole thing because I have no idea anything of what you were talking about.
Well, you weren't
Ah,
here, so that doesn't count.
Yes,
the
I was. I was here talking about gates and networks and Wi-Fi and settings and toggles, and I heard it all. I just don't understand any of it. I just plug the stupid thing in and it better work.
Well, oftentimes people will move their machines, or they'll get the new internet service provider, and we'll get a ticket. I got my new internet today. My machine won't connect. It's because that
yeah,
new provider used a different address scheme for their home
yeah.
network or business network, and all of a sudden it's overlapping or out of the range of the machine. So it's
And
definitely
that
something to at
is
least be familiar with.
that's all too
Uh,
common too, even in the copier industry. We got calls on that all the time because they'd come out and switch the router or switch providers, and none of them seemed to understand if they would just go in there and make the IP address of that new router whatever it was for the old one, everything would just magically work. It would take 5 minutes, but I don't think they're allowed to do that. So they mess you all up, and then you got to fix it,
it's called job security, my friend.
I suppose.
Well, from the sales side, you should say, "Oh, you can't get there from here. You got to throw the machine out. Then they got to buy a new machine, and then you guys drive by their house, pick it up, refurbish it for about 5 seconds, resell it for a really good price. And you're making money."
You know, there's an old story on the internet where a dude did that with his neighbor's printer, where he connected through his Wi-Fi and kept printing stuff on the printer. So the guy ended up throwing the printer out by the curb because he's like, "What is this printer doing? It just won't stop printing this random stuff." So neighbor then goes, picks up the printer off the curb and installs it in his house. Not sure if it's true or not.
Can see it happening though, especially with all these
Yeah.
Bluetooth printers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you got to watch
Sometimes
it
you
too.
guys laugh at me, but sometimes I have some really good ideas.
The last time I was at Grand Central Station, we ate at a little place there, and I pulled my phone out, my little Wi-Fi sniffer, and I connected to about 8 different printers that were back in the kitchens or wherever the areas were that weren't
You
protected. And we
order
printed
yourself a
out some.
meal.
We print well, no, but we printed out some random things we found on the internet. So I don't even know if they went through, but I bet they did. So
Careful,
I'll be
Brian. You're
careful.
still being recorded.
Yeah, well, it's
Statute of
just,
limitations, right?
yeah,
Grand Central
kids being
Station. Got it.
kids, right? I mean, I was 40,
Right.
but that's what us copier nerds did for fun. So search for open printers.
Oh, could you imagine if somebody ever figured out like how to find people's laser machines that are accessible
Yes.
from outside their home network? Mm,
That could be bad,
yeah.
like dangerous bad.
Generally, your router will provide the firewall protection against that, but
Yeah.
don't put in the DMZ, I guess. Another thriller acronym for you.
All right. Well, so does anybody have anything? We're at almost the halfway mark, so we ought to break for a minute, see if anybody wants to inject anything, comment.
I
So Reto,
Hi. Hey, Jason, what happened? You said Wednesday. I guess you meant next Wednesday.
no, I just got busy.
I was gonna say
that
because we
Camaro,
didn't have an advertisement or anything for it, so
Yeah, no, I got busy and yeah.
stop working on that damn Camaro.
No, that's not the busy I'm talking about.
No. Ooh, whoa!
Oh,
Congratulations! It's been a while too.
A little too early for this conversation.
What are you
Gotta
talking
wait
about?
till 5.
Oh, you went south on that one. That's not what I was talking about.
it's 5 o'clock somewhere,
Oh,
right?
whatever.
So since you're here, and this will probably be a topic that we discuss on Turn and Burn, but what did you think about the ISA? Since you were at the one in Las Vegas with us as well.
Yeah, I've been to the Atlanta one, I went to the Vegas one, then I went to this one. I mean, this
I
one
mean, you don't
seemed
have to show
pretty
off.
good. Um, this one was pretty good. It, I don't know if it was because it seemed a little bit more packed as far as like condensed. So I don't know if that kind of led to the atmosphere that it was bigger. But it felt like it was a little bit bigger than Vegas, to be honest.
More populated, right? And more people in and out.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's hard to tell, but my assumption is they kind of packed people in there a little bit tighter here than they did in Vegas for one reason or another. And it just seemed like it was busier. I'm gonna have to mute you here in a second. I'm going through a car wash, though. But but yeah, no, it was good. I mean, a lot of good stuff there, especially if you're into other things besides just lasers, DTF, UV, CNC, all.
Stay unmuted and open your sunroof. I want to hear it.
I don't want to hear what comes out of my mouth if that happens.
Anybody have any questions? Like, did they see anything that might have been released during that show that they have questions about, or?
Are you fishing?
Well, there was something that came out from another brand that I thought was interesting, but it's another brand, so
It is pretty interesting, though, isn't it?
like I wonder how it's possible. But anyway,
It's possible, but I mean, your machine that you have is capable of doing 1,000, or if you have the bolt, 1,000 millimeters per second.
oh,
How
that's not what
often do you, how often do you run that?
What would we just do? That test on the barrel lids?
I
To
use
see?
things as needed. That actually wasn't what I was talking about.
What? What were you talking about?
Well, you were talking about things that came out, and there
Right.
was something from another company, and about the mirrors never needing alignment, which
Oh, well, that was part of the same machine, but yes.
oh, okay. I didn't
I
research the
think
machine to see what else it did, because I will never buy one. So
5,000 millimeters per second is the claim.
that's cool in
With
theory. I mean,
What's the
with
overscan on that
but
bastard?
exactly, what's the overscan? Just because it can doesn't mean anybody would.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to have
I
a
think
pretty
Chris.
high acceleration rate, so the overscan won't be terrible. Um, I think that 5G for one of the models. If you go on the website, there's a lot of conflicting data out there on their even on their own website versus what their influencers were peddling and pushing and talking about. Um, 5,000 millimeters per second. What power tube can you actually make a mark? Why didn't their demo video actually show them engraving something? They showed the head moving, but why wasn't it actually engraving? That'd be my question.
Because it engraves
Well,
dashes, not dots.
well, the thing is with those two is unless you have the ability and the time to actually test it, you're never going to know. I mean, they could say it's 10,000 millimeters a second. You're never going to know unless you physically check it yourself.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, the tube, if you got a 100-watt tube and you're doing 5,000 millimeters a second, you're probably not leaving much of a mark. I mean,
If,
Right.
if it's a DC tube, it's definitely not. It can't even
yeah.
fire that fast.
Yeah,
And to the
why we
point about the mirrors. Sorry,
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say to the point about the mirrors never needing a lining. I mean, neither do Thunders
Titanic wasn't
really.
supposed to sink either.
I mean, I have four of the gantry machines. One of them I've moved 4 times, and I've never had. And that the one that's in my trailer has almost 5,000 miles on it, and I ain't never had to touch anything on it. If that tells you anything.
Exactly.
I
So I
guess
mean,
if you just build a really good machine, it doesn't have to be aligned very often.
Well, what
yeah,
I think they were talking about was, well, one, I think the person who said that didn't know what they were truly saying. Some of these people get on there
no,
aren't tech, right? But they have this quick change tube mount, so you could quickly change from a glass tube to an RF tube to a different size RF tube, maybe even a fiber source. And I think what they're saying is once you get that one tube aligned and the mirrors are set, then you put in the other tube and get it set to the mirrors, almost like the reverse alignment. That you could basically swap between those two tubes without having to do an alignment. I
Well,
think that's
they're
Wow.
also proclaiming the magnetic side of the lens, which if I've got
yeah.
5G or more acceleration, I'm not trusting some magnets to hold my lens assembly in,
No.
but
I kind of
also
like that.
my mirrors too.
I kind of
I mean,
like
I
that.
like it. I like it too. But to Chris's point, I mean, it's. I
When
mean,
is
if
it
it's do if it
novelty and when is it not? When is it a real? I mean, it's better than having to take the whole sensor off just to get to a lens.
well,
Oh,
yeah,
on
that's a
theirs,
big
yes,
improvement.
that's a
The other
huge
thing
thing on
is, and
theirs.
I'm sure some of you all have felt this, whenever you introduce a bunch of neat new stuff, it's usually not as smooth coming out as you would like or think it would be. So, I mean,
Right.
introducing that
Yeah,
much new tech in one machine and popping it out, I can imagine that there may be some revision coming or some adjustment or something like that. I
I'm
don't
just
know.
curious as what the scan offset is on that thing, going
The
that if
proof's
it
in the
goes that
pudding
fast.
Don't
because
forget, you have to wait 8 months to get it.
And, and as far as I know, there's not one on the ground anywhere that is a real example yet. So up to this point, it's mostly just hypothesis.
Smoke and mirrors. Yeah, smoke and mirrors. I will say that China and us tested our scan heads on the Aurora because the question was is why don't
Wait,
ours do what?
you forget about me?
Oh, you were there too. Sorry.
Oh
Sorry,
he
you
does
always
that
got
a
to be
lot.
smart.
He does that a lot.
yeah. You talking about
Well,
up in the speeds, right?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it was capable of 6,000. I mean, we don't rate it at that. Can our motors go faster? Yeah, but a lot of the times you don't use it. So reliability, longevity, all of these things are factored in. some crazy number that you'll never ever run in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still like, that Nova like Chris has behind his for his backdrop. You know what I like so much about that Nova? It pretty much hasn't changed ever since Mars. I mean,
Yeah.
it's had a few things, a couple of new boards. The dual air was a big one that I like when they introduced it. But other than that, it's a proven platform. It's a tank, and it just works. You know, sometimes you don't need to stir the soup so much. I don't know, but there has to be evolution.
What was this about scan? What was this about scan heads for the Auroras?
And the
They're
Galvo.
Yeah,
we
the
only rate
Galvo.
2,000 millimeters per second, but it'll physically go faster.
I will
They're
say
not.
we did test at 6,000, but there are some things that Thunder China has to do in the hardware and the firmware to calibrate that, because right now it's calibrated for, I think it's 2,000 max.
Yeah, well, I mean, and
But
even
talking
running like
to
I never run. I don't run 2,000 hardly ever. And again, going what size tube? Well, how much power do you have to run to achieve something at
Hmm.
that speed?
Now, I run my Aurora 20 watt, just the Q switch, at 3,000 on business cards, and it makes a super white contrast. Uh,
Yep.
so I
Damn.
kind of like running it that one. And I know it's not necessarily supposed to, but it sure looks good. You got to get your timings right, though, or it'll look like crap.
Yeah, I think that's what China was referring to as far as calibrating everything, getting the timing
Yeah. Oh, well, you can
timing
set the
set to a calculated
timings.
steps.
We could do that
No, I
here.
know,
You
but
could do, yeah.
they're wanting to have it so it's capable and everything's calibrated to do that speed. Because everything right now is only calibrated to do the 2,000 or
Yeah.
whatever.
The old firmware
Um,
supercharger. Yeah.
yeah, so that's what they want to figure out before they go and say anything else. But we did do several tests and they came out fine. I mean, we didn't have a lot of time to dial settings in, and we definitely didn't do any timing adjustments, and it still came out really well. So with those adjustments, I think it'll be easily doable and with a great result.
And my Pro does 8,000. Hardly ever go. I would say 3,000, if that. And also
Yeah.
question for a gantry style machine at 5,000, will they actually have offsets and will they actually have bidirectional at that speed? But they may be doing singular direction because
And
that's a
and will the
lot of
gantry
speed.
support it? Will the hardware support
I
it?
mean,
Because there was another one out there that claimed even 500 millimeters per second, but if you get over 300, it would just rattle. It would just be terrible. That you
yeah.
know.
The other thing is, the scan offsets would have to be crazy.
Well, I guess it depends on the motor too, but it's mostly the inertia. My thing is, I don't think ULS Epilogue and Trotec have much of any extend space. I know my
No,
ULS,
but
I can engrave all the way in the corner with those full servos.
Yeah, I
no, but
mean,
I think they have encoders though. I believe
They're
in the
using
motors they
closed
have
loop steppers.
I think they have encoders on those.
Yeah.
And to reach that speed, that's the only thing I can think that they did with their red line was introduce encoders, because otherwise, at that speed, I can't imagine it would keep up.
yeah, they've got upgrade options. Again, if you go on the website, there's some conflicting between their numbers, but there's a servo upgrade that gets you the higher acceleration and the higher speed.
You did some testing on our Nova, and I know that's not actually ideal because our Nova head is not made to be fast. But
Mute, mute,
I
mute.
think you found that the results were not really worthy of even trying to do that, at least on that
Yeah,
particular gantry.
yeah, we were able to crank up the acceleration. I was able to get the offsets dialed in, and it would engrave. It was just that's a big old head moving around. I was able to crank the speed up to I think I got like 1,600 millimeters per second, and 3G
Was that with the
acceleration.
other motor?
Yeah,
With the clear
yeah, it was
path.
the servo, but yeah, the actual servo. It was cool. It sounded interesting. The different noises. Um,
And
just
again, that's the way the Nova's made. It's not made to
yeah,
be that fast, you know.
yeah. I would say long term that probably would be a detriment to the machine.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
high,
the Nova is also a cutter though, mainly. So
yeah. It was just one of those couple $100 to see if it could.
What else? Anybody have any questions? Technical, light burn, rotary? Don't ask Jason.
I
Hey,
have no clue.
I'm wearing your shirt, dude. I told them
Are you?
earlier. Yeah.
Can't see it. Your name's in the
It's
way.
got the turn and burn on the back,
Yeah.
which I didn't know was there until somebody at the store asked me about it.
Thought you thought somebody put a sticky note on your back or a kick me
Yeah, I
sign on
didn't
your
know.
back?
I didn't know if you made something special just for me.
No. I love you, but not that much.
Maybe one day.
What's that?
I said maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe.
Danny, how you feeling? Still recovering? Yeah,
Doing well.
good.
What's the status of the on-site maintenance? Is it going to be something that will come about, or what?
I think so. I don't know if we three will be the ones doing it. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about it. We got to see how many people are interested, and then go from there, I guess.
Putting something like that into place and making it right is not a monumental task, but close to it. Just to get
Yeah,
all your
it
ducks
is
in
an
a row and make sure
undertaking.
everything's right.
Well, I'm interested if you do.
We're in the
Where are you
process of
located?
exploring it.
North Carolina, over toward
North
Greensboro.
Carolina.
Oh, yeah, North Carolina.
My son
You
is
signed
going
up?
to wrestling camp up there in June, July. No, sorry. Yeah, June or July. I'm trying to think of the state or the university.
Which university?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Appalachian, maybe?
Appalachia. Yep.
Yeah.
And up toward Boone, North Carolina.
Yep.
That's about
You
halfway
near
between.
there?
Yeah, about an hour and a half.
Because I'm bringing I think I'm bringing my travel trailer up there, and we're going to stay at a KOA
We're
while
in your
he's got
front yard.
camp in your front yard. Hopefully you got, hopefully you got sewage hookup.
Uh,
Come on up. In my shop, I've got a living quarters too, so
Nice.
it works out good. Yeah, but no,
I'm
be
gonna say,
glad to. Your Boone is about halfway between me and Chris Myers. You're in what, Knoxville, Chris?
Yeah, just south or west of it.
Yeah. Well, if you see that you're going to come up and are available, let me know.
I'm planning on coming up that way. I just don't know what the schedule is going to look like. I mean, he's going to be at camp, sleeping there, and all that's everything's covered. I just want to be up there in case something weird happens.
Be good.
I feel like you and Jason could start a world tour. U.S. Go
What's
from
that?
turn
Toronto, go all
turn
the
and
way
burn
up to
world tour.
yeah up to New Jersey.
Well,
Carry your show on the
speaking of
road.
which, you got something else to put out a little bit later.
Oh boy.
Gotta keep the suspense. But no, I'll
Of
probably be
course.
up in the I'll probably be up in the Carolinas this summer at some point. do like a lower southeast kind of road trip.
Well, if you're close by, you're welcome to drop in. Got a good place to stay.
Yeah, I'll definitely post on. I gotta see what's going on. We got a lot of stuff going on this summer. So, but still plan on doing one here in the U.S. and then another one somewhere else.
Where's that somewhere else? Like Thailand or what?
No, not yet.
Hey, Danny, it's the 22nd through the 28th at High Country Wrestling Camp.
Okay.
It's at Appalachian State.
Okay.
So I don't know how far that is from you.
Those dates one more time.
The June 22nd to June 28th. That's coming up quick.
Really?
Damn. I don't know where the time goes, man. I got nothing, no time.
We got nothing but time. Just
Yeah.
too much stuff
We're
to
not
fit it
all
in.
you, Jason. We're not all you.
What are you talking about? I'm the one and only.
Thankfully.
You could say that, I guess.
He did. He did. He did say it.
I know he didn't mean
This
it.
this is a preview of y'all's show, right? The shenanigans that go
This
on.
is why it works so well.
No, it's all good.
Well, Jason, be sure you check the link in the comments thing. The slideshow's there, and then I'll be sending over a test for you in the morning.
A test
Yeah, these things we're gonna start having tests. Unless you want to do like a
for
report.
Is this
what?
part of the traveling tech support gig?
Yeah, it must be. I think I'm just messing with you.
Hmm,
There's no test.
everything's a test.
That that could be true.
So, at any rate,
I will
so yeah,
say that
anybody that's anybody interested, look forward to ISA next year.
Is it
As
Vegas
of right
next
now,
year? They flip
Thunder,
flop.
or yeah, it'll be in Vegas next year. What were you gonna say, Chris?
that somehow you paid the attendant at the go-kart place to switch our times.
Oh, is that what it was?
I have no idea how
Yeah,
your heavy ass beat me, but you did.
I'm just that good
Yeah,
at everything I do,
this is that damn
except for
and
golf.
and and honestly modest and humble too.
I am. I'm very.
You know, you should build a car or a little electric golf cart or something that looks like a Rotoboss. You know, that has the rollers for the wheels,
That would be funny as shit.
extrusion, put the seat on it. Wouldn't that be awesome? Like a
Trust
go
me,
kart out of 2020 extrusion.
I've got plans.
What are they? You can't just say you have plans and then not tell us the plans.
He's gonna roll up an
You,
ISA next year.
I'm gonna have an ISA. I'll roll up in a Rotoboss golf cart or motorized. Let's put it that way.
Roller skates, maybe? You could do roller skates.
No,
Just for the record, Jason, that wasn't my dig. That was somebody else's.
what's that?
About secrets, and you have plans, and you're not going to talk about them.
I'll talk about them in due time. I can't. I can't let everything out of the bag at once. More to
At
come on
least
that
we know
later.
something's coming. What? What's later?
I don't
Like
know. It's all about
like
perspective, I guess.
like 10 minutes.
Well, later's
Yeah,
always later, so it could be anytime later.
like 2030.
No, I was actually going to post on it today, but I wanted to do something for it before I post it, so it might
Well,
go
you
out
can just
tomorrow. I don't
tell
know.
us, and then we won't say anything until tomorrow.
Oh, but everybody that's watching this.
So
I'll
I
probably
heard
forget to upload it till next week anyway, so you're safe for
Yeah.
here
a couple of
here
days.
I'll burst this bubble. So are you gonna send me a talent so I can test it and make videos on
Well, that's not a surprise. That's a given.
it? He's cocky today.
Nah, it's
Hey,
just
Jason,
showing a little bit more. What's up?
speaking of the talent, the upgrades, are they all being sent out?
They're in
Or
work right now. We're trying. I mean, obviously, the rotaries you have are working. So we're trying to get what we have for the back orders caught up. Um, but they should be the upgrade should be going out next week. And
okay,
there's a link and a QR code for a video on how to swap it out and everything. So I wanted to make sure I had all that in line before I went and sent stuff out because I didn't want people
oh yeah,
trying to do it blindly. So we got a video done and all the parts are being separated, packed up, and all that
okay.
stuff ready to go out. So
Just figured I'd ask.
yeah. And then anybody that's got, I mean, you'll have the parts. I mean, if it's working fine, I wouldn't mess with it too much. But you know, um,
Oh, I'm
either
about
way, I wasn't not going to send everybody the stuff because I made the decision last minute to make the changes, um, and for the better in my opinion. But um, I wasn't going to let people just have a version 1 and then a version 2 or something like that and leave people out. So
makes sense. Said I'm about to put that little bastard to the test though.
are you?
Yeah, these glad the round. Yeah, I just put them away. The round decanters from JDS.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting because that bastard's heavy.
Yeah. I mean, is it the standard decanter with like the skinny neck and then the square or
This one's
body,
this
or what is it?
one's round.
Oh, it's round. Okay.
They just came in
Now we
today.
do. No, we do have added adapters. I think I got them on the website right now um, for handling stuff like that with a little bit more weight, and also it's used for doing like wooden bowls. So like we were talking before about gripping the base of a bowl to do it. Oh yeah,
Yep.
that
Yeah.
won't be a problem.
Well, we'll
It
see.
too.
Well, I've got it disassembled for the UV, so it's just the bolting it into the T tracks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if we like for the UVs, we have a support assembly that mounts to the deck of the UV. So if it is too heavy, like mostly if it's really long, and the reason I made it initially was because a guy was doing some wine bottles, and obviously with that length and that weight, I mean it's going to exceed the capabilities of pretty much anything
Yeah.
in the market right now. But but yeah, I mean, if you need something like that, we got a solution for that. We got a solution for if you have the extended base and you want to put a support arm on it, you can. So we've got provisions for everything. It's just trying to make it as cost effective as possible and eliminate all the crap that you don't need. But like anything else, they have their limitations. But we're all set up to take care of that when and if it happens.
Yeah, I may wind up just throwing it in a low roller.
I mean, that chuck will hold it. I mean, I almost guarantee you
I know
that.
it's just getting that grip and depending on where I want to put because I'm gonna wind up taking that one and doing a full wrap all the way around it,
Yeah.
just because I can.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know with that neck the way it is. I don't know. You'd probably have to grab it from the bottom.
Yeah.
Just because the neck's so skinny. I mean, that's a lot of leverage on that little
Oh yeah.
area. So, but definitely doable.
Oh, anything's possible.
Well, let me know when you're dropping mine off.
I don't know. You're too far away from me.
Whatever.
It's funny. We gotta go to Vegas, Texas, or Orlando to meet up, and we're only 3 hours away from each other.
We'll go out on the boat. Come on down.
Shit, let me
Andy,
grab my keys.
you're a good ballast opportunity for the back horn of
That's
the
right.
boat. Surf wave.
Yeah,
Exactly. And you could drive while I surf. That'd be perfect.
that'll work because I can't surf or ski or any of that
Guarantee.
crap.
I guarantee you. You come down here, I will have you surfing in at least 10 tries.
Like actually wave surfing or wake surfing?
Wake surfing off of the back of the boat.
Oh, oh, that might not be too bad. I thought you meant like surfing. I'm like, yeah, I can't do that.
Well, I'll turn the tunes up. We'll be jamming out. We could put on your favorite opera song. It'd be
There you go.
perfect.
La Palite, whatever it is. I don't know how you say it.
You could wear your speedos.
They have a Rotopass logo on them.
That would be like a last resort.
Turn and burn.
Turn and burn.
Yeah,
You could have it written on your butt, written across your butt.
put 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 turn on the front and burn on the back.
Uh,
You guys
still
are
being
horrible.
recorded.
We don't have Jim here to keep us safe.
Yeah,
But
where
Is
anyways,
that
where
yeah.
is
is
it,
that
Jim?
what you call that?
Well,
Point is-
Ah,
All right, let's have about 30 seconds of awkward silence, and then I can have a good enough reason to hit the record button.
You should have hit that thing about 5 minutes ago.